Hello, good evening and welcome to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, coming to you live from our studio here at Adesanwe Kanda in Accra. Coming up this evening, Assembly member shot dead as tension erupted over mining dispute at Asanko Mines in the Ashanti region. We will be live on the ground in a moment to get the latest regarding this unfortunate development. Also coming up, ongoing West Africa Senior Secondary Certificate Examination, the WASSCE, hit by fresh allegations of malpractice as more than 20 teachers and invigilators are involved in cheating. We'll give you an update on that, and later in the bulletin, High Court blocks former Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu's lawyers' attempt to orally withdraw the case challenging her removal. We have details of all these and more, including business and sports, all coming up for the next 1 hour. Do stay with us. My name is Martin Asiedu-Dartey. I'm here with Christabel success Treve, and she has the news summaries for us.
Hi, Martin. It's another Tuesday, and in our summaries tonight, the Acting Executive Director of the National Service Authority, NSA, Ruth Sedo, has assured prospective National Service personnel that their postings will be released on November 1, 2025. She urged all eligible personnel to remain calm as the authority completes ongoing reviews of its systems. The Bono Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Kwame Bafo, popularly known as Abonye DC, has been remanded. This was after he was arraigned before the Accra Circuit Court 9 earlier today. He has been remanded into police custody. The MPP official is scheduled to reappear on Friday, 12 September 2025. According to the Ghana Police Service, Abonye was arrested on September 8 under charges of offensive conduct conducive to the breach of peace. The Registrar of the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat, Alex Kweku Asafo Ejay, has raised concerns about questionable practices in the management of scholarship funds during the tenure of the predecessor, Dr. Kinsley Agyemang. He alleged that in addition to covering tuition and living expenses for students abroad, the Secretariat also extended full financial support to the spouses and children of some beneficiaries, a practice he described as highly problematic. Finally, the Minister for the Interior, on the advice of the Regional Security Council and by executive instrument, has reviewed the curfew hours of Saula Tuna Kalba Township and its environs in the Savannah region from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m., effective Tuesday, September 9, 2025. Government continues to urge chiefs, opinion leaders, youth and people of the area to exercise restraint in the face of the challenges confronting them and to use non-violent means to channel their energies into ensuring peace in the area.
Right, thank you very much, Christabel, for the news summaries. Let's go straight to the Ashanti region, where disturbing news coming in indicates that an assemblyman at Mpetwem, a mining community in the Ashanti region, has been shot dead in a violent clash between some community members and security of Asanko Mines on Tuesday. The deceased, Samuel Dankwa, assembly member for Aboabo, was shot dead on the spot and actually died from the gunshot wounds, while two others, we are told, sustained gunshot wounds and are currently receiving some level of treatment. Eyewitnesses say that the chaos was triggered after the youth accused security personnel linked to Asanko Mines of killing a miner the previous day. In danger, residents blocked major roads demanding answers and justice. So let's get the latest regarding this particular issue. William Evans Inkum is our Northern Sector Bureau Chief. He's joined us for an update. Evans, good evening and thank you for joining us. What exactly is the current situation as we speak?
Well, so it's a confusion galore. Mass protest in Petrom as I speak to you now, protesting the death of two people. The whole thing erupted yesterday when some, we understand, illegal miners have invaded a concession which is currently under dispute. That is between the Asanko Mines and then the Impactron community. It is not too different from the situation at Tontukrum, where the community is also having some issues with Asako mine. Of course, it has to do with a concession. That is 75 acres concession. So the Mpatuam story also presents a similar situation. So one Kwesi Bonsu had gone to this concession to mine, but we understand that there was an exchange between him and then that of the security, which we understand were military men who have been deployed to protect the concession. Now we understand there was more or less like a scuffle. So the people ran for cover because the military had, triggered an action. Only to hear that Kwesi Bonsu had lost his life. The community members went back and found Kwesi Bonsu's lifeless body. It was then that they decided to protest Kwesi Bonsu. So this morning, the deceased, I'm talking about the assembly member, Abuabu assembly member, Samuel Dankwa, led a protest march to Asanko mines to protest the death of Kwesi Bonsu. We understand when they got to Asanko mines, there were gunshots, and one of the bullets hit Samuel Dankwa, who happens to be the assembly member for Abuabu electoral area, of course, losing his life. And as I speak to you now, there has been some confusion, as I said earlier. It's a mass protest in the Mpatuam community.
But what can you tell us about civil protection? Do we have the police there trying to at least try and douse down the concerns of and the kind of tension that we are reporting?
So there's a mass protest. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry is involved. The police presence is not that heavy. I can say that some way, somehow, they have been overwhelmed. Even though there hasn't been violence, I wouldn't describe the situation currently as a violent protest. But, people are shouting, screaming on top of their voices just to show their displeasure about the current development.
And we also do know that this is not the first time Asanko mine and the residents in and around the area have had this kind of confrontation. What exactly triggered this particular one? Is it the same old issue of the youth in the area trying to go onto the concession to try and mine on their own and met some resistance that triggered it?
Absolutely. It is the same old, I would want to call it, protracted issue. Because Tontukrum is also facing similar situation. Last Saturday we reported they were fortunate because when the military came in, there was a call from the Regional Security Council that they should go back to the barracks. In fact, there has been order that no miner should engage the military. I don't know what position the Regional Security Council is going to take because it just coming very 3 days after a similar situation was recorded, of course, reported from Tontukrum. Like I said, fortunately, there wasn't any casualty, even though last year around March, 3 people had died under similar circumstances. Saturday, Tontukrum was different, but only to wake up this morning to hear another death. Of course, one happened yesterday, Kwesi Bonsu, and then another one happening today.
William, thank you so much. Do keep an eye on this development for us, and certainly we'll be coming back to you for more update. William Evanzinkum is our Ashanti Regional Bureau Chief, updating us on the unfortunate story of the assemblyman of Mpatuam, who earlier today was shot dead following some violent confrontation between the youth in the area, specifically around the Asanko mine area, and also some security personnel who have been deployed to protect the Asanko mine. So again, like he indicated, this is not the first time that this kind of confrontation has happened, and it looks as though security services or the Regional Security Council is unable to stem the tide of this unfortunate annual conversation we keep having about how a mining concession can actually live vis-a-vis the fact that the youth in the area also say they want to go onto the grounds to mine. Some of them are actually watching this conversation we are having here on 3FM 92.7 on our Facebook page, and also streaming it on YouTube. So if you are in and around the area, just log on to Facebook, look for 3FM, and you can be part of the conversation. Do send us your thoughts and your messages there as well. On Facebook and YouTube, we are streaming live. Let's go and speak to a security consultant, Richard Kumado, who, again and again, we have been having this conversation with him regarding what exactly is the best approach to dealing with this yearly canker as it has become. Mr. Kumado, good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm sure that you wouldn't be surprised that we are back to the same conversation. We had this conversation last year. We're back to it, and now, again, someone has died as a result of this confrontation. How does this come to you?
I wasn't surprised at all. You remember when the Ashanti Good incident happened? Our brother Felix gave a directive from government, and the directive contains about 3 lines. One, they should bury the dead. Number 2, they should cater for the injured in terms of medicine or their hospital bills. And number 3, the military who engage in the shooting out should be dealt with. Up to today, we haven't seen the report, and we don't know what has become of that particular investigation. But you remember when we spoke during that time, I made a point that to the extent that you keep on using military for corporate security exercises, these are some of the results you get. And you don't need a soothsayer prophet to tell you that once it's a legitimate own concession, and you have law enforcement officers, military in particular, as the key security officers for this concession, who has been tasked to maintain law and order and to ensure that the concession is not breached. Any personality and anything they see that looks like a breach or in contravention of the standard order, they will take action. And one of the action is to shoot and kill. So that is what we are marching. We are back to square one, and we need to look at it again. There again, it's important I make this point. Just recently, when the task force of the IGP, the police, has been accused by a man who has been tasked by Yoko to investigate, that the special task force set up by the IGP is compromising themselves, and they need to be removed. The regional minister of the Ashanti region gave an order that they have the capacity to deal with, regional task force when it comes to mining. Here we are. Somebody has been shot dead. We will want to test their capacity and their agility in dealing with such issues. So it's early days yet, but then we are back to square one. We will want leadership to do what they do best, right, so that we move forward.
Right, and talking about leadership having to do what they do best, what is the best approach? Again, I'm asking this on the back of the fact that, like you indicated, we have proposed suggestions and spoken about this particular issue for years on end, and it looks as though the number of persons who have been attacked or unfortunately lost their lives keeps increasing. Today we are told 1. In previous years it actually was more than 1. How can the regional security, what would you advise the immediate steps of the Regional Security Council to be?
Now, I think they are not collaborating their efforts properly. And once you are not collaborating your efforts properly, you cannot solidify your ground. And once the ground has become fragile, vulnerabilities will be exploited. And today is one of them. You know why it happens so? These are soldiers who have been trained. And you take them out of their training environment and put them in an environment which contravenes their security psychology. They will act in a manner that makes them feel they are soldiers. You just remember that some soldiers went into a community, the youth there misbehaved towards the soldiers, and the soldiers were called to barracks. So what happened to the soldiers when they were going? The regional security didn't see. They didn't know the soldiers were going into the area. And who sent the soldiers into the area in the first place? We are creating too many contradictions, and we are creating an environment that do not support a professional collaboration and coordination of the effort into this particular subject matter. If the Regional Security Council can solidify their ground, then they will need to coordinate the efforts of the frontline law enforcement officers, particularly soldiers acting as security guards for some of these mining companies and soldiers who go to the field when they have been called to manage emergency situations. If they don't, then it will keep on flipping out, and when it flip out, there will be a number of vulnerabilities and there will be a number of casualties.
Richard Kumado, thank you so much for your time this evening. He is a security consultant and just sharing his perspectives on the unfortunate death of one person in Patuem, which is the assemblyman actually in the Ashanti region, where the confrontation between the youth in and around the Asanko gold mine had a confrontation with the military or the security that had been deployed to the area to protect the land. And this again has been happening over time. Again, today, one life has been lost. So we'll see what the coming days hold for us regarding this particular issue. If you go to our Facebook page, you get to see the videos of how the confrontation erupted and the burning of vehicles and property, some belonging to private citizens, and then also the company's property, fleet of vehicles have also been set ablaze. So it's quite a tense moment in and around that Asanko mine, and I would update you subsequently. This is still 3FM 92.7. Let's go on to some other stories now.
Let's now take you to court because an Accra High Court has ordered lawyers of former Chief Justice Gertrude Saki-Tokonu to follow the appropriate procedure in withdrawing the case challenging her removal process. Presiding Judge Justice Eugene Nyadu-Nyantey blocked efforts by the lawyer for the former Chief Justice to withdraw the suit filed on June 23 orally. Our Court Affairs correspondent Lord Eduasare sat through proceedings at the court today and reports.
On Tuesday, September 9, Deputy Attorney General Dr. Justice Remsai sought leave of the court to move a motion to strike out the case filed by the former Chief Justice challenging the removal process. Former Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu on June 23 filed a judicial review application asking the High Court to strike out a petition by a group known as Shining Stars of Ghana. Her lawyers argued that the petition was fundamentally flawed, citing that the group was unregistered and the members were anonymous. But even before the Deputy Attorney General could move the motion, the lawyer for the former CJ, Kwabena Edukusi, indicated to the court that he had received instructions from his client to withdraw the application. In his response, however, Dr. Justice Remsai
apologies for the break in sound. We'll try and rectify
disappointment
that.
At the manner in which the lawyers of Justice Gertrude Tokonu approached the court. He then prayed the court to take appropriate action against the counsel for the former Chief Justice. Kwabena Edukusi pleaded the court for a brief adjournment to adhere to the right procedure. Justice Nyadu-Nyantey then ordered the lawyer for the former Chief Justice to file the appropriate processes to discontinue the case and adjourn the case indefinitely. The former Chief Justice Gertrude Araba Isaba Saki-Tokonu was removed by President Mahama following recommendations by the Committee of Inquiry which investigated petitions requesting her removal. In a statement on September 1, the President indicated that he had removed the Chief Justice from office with a successor to be appointed in due time. Meanwhile, the Community Court of Justice at ECOWAS is set to take a decision on the case filed by the former Chief Justice seeking her reinstatement with full entitlement.
Meanwhile, a retired Supreme Court judge has reacted to the legal challenge against Gertrude Tokonu's removal.
Take and subscribe to the oath of secrecy and the oath of a member of the Council of State set out in the second schedule to this constitution. The argument is that as a sitting member of the Council of State, she didn't have to come out to tell us about what transpired within the meeting.
Well, as you've read, that is it. Oath of secrecy is there. So, but human conduct. If we're all behaving mathematically according to that, there will never be a problem. You see, so sometimes these things can happen. So you look at it's unfortunate it happened that way. But
what's happened that way?
I mean, that she came out, if she revealed whatever happened, contrary to Article 89.
Well, she revealed her disgust about the entire process and felt that it was very unnecessary and that the charges against the dismissed CJ were not strong enough.
It's certainly a breach of this article.
And so you heard the voice of Justice William Atuguba, a former Supreme Court judge, and he himself was sometime in our history a Chief Justice. So it clearly is a position he was sharing on the back and forth about the removal of Ghana's current Chief Justice, that is Madam Gertrude Isaba-Tokonu, as Chief Justice. And today she was in court, and like you heard in that report by my colleague, it has to do with the fact that a High Court judge has ruled that Madam Tokonu did not have the appropriate procedure in withdrawing the case challenging her removal. So our website 3news.com has details of that for you. And the conversation between Justice William Atuguba was with my colleague who actually went there. So if you want that full interview as well, you can find it on our YouTube page and our Facebook page as well. And so we go on to some other stories having to do with the power sector. Now, the Electricity Company of Ghana has proposed a 224% increase in its distribution service charge over the 2025 to 2030 tariff period. At a stakeholders meeting with the PRC on Monday, the ECG justified that proposed upward adjustment, citing the need to restore financial viability and sustained operations, was why they were asking for this increment. The proposed increment in the distribution service charge is from the current 19.08 pesos per kilowatt hour to 61.8 pesos. They are looking at a jump from 19.0 to 61.8. The proposal cites rising inflation, foreign exchange volatility, interest rates, and the need for full recovery of investment costs as the main drivers. ECG's projections show an annual revenue requirement rising steadily, averaging about 9.1 billion Ghana cedis across the 5-year period. The company anticipates its operational cost, human resource expenses, depreciation, capital recovery payments, and tax obligations to climb up, necessitating a significant tariff review. Now, ECG has recommended a comprehensive set of changes to the tariff structure. Let's unpack all of what exactly the ECG is seeking from the PURC, which is the regulator. You know that the regulator has been meeting the last few days with the other tariff institutions, including Ghana Water Company, Gridco, VRA, etc., to try and streamline what exactly should go into how much we should pay as the end consumers. Wisdom Safo is with our research desk here at Media General. He's joined us in studio for a quick chat on this. Wisdom, thank you for joining us. First of all, it goes without saying that the increment that the ECG is asking for is justified. However, the concern has to do with the percentages, right?
Yeah, Martin, before we unpack this, let's understand that when it comes to electricity and water, these are necessity goods, and necessity goods are goods you cannot do without. So it is very important that such goods, there should be a regulation as to how the pricing should be done, such that there is no exploitation of us, we the consumers. So in 1997, the PURC was created as the regulator, and they approved the tariffs for the ECG, Gridco, Ghana Water Company, and the gas providers. So they look at a lot of reasons, or they do their own internal analysis to arrive at what percentages or what rates they should charge per each utility, talking about electricity and water. So this is a proposal by ECG, and Ghana Water Company. So it is not bounding on PURC to fully give a go ahead for the over 224% increment. So it can be rejected, it can be reduced or approved. So ECG is proposing a 224% increment in the DSC1. Now, DSC means Distribution Service Charge 1. We have Service Charge 2, but this one is the one which has to do with transmission, which has to do with distribution to our homes and businesses. So that's what they are asking for an increment on. And the current rate is 19.09 Ghana pesos, and they are asking for 61.80 Ghana pesos per kilowatt hour. So if you do the maths, it is 224% increment across 5 years. So they are looking at 2025 to 2029. And if you look at the pricing of our electricity, it has a lot of components. It's not the DSC, that's the service charge, is only one aspect of the tariffs. We also have the payment of to Gridco, which is transmission, the TSC. We have the BGC, the CBGC, which is the payment to the power producers, such as the VRA and the IPPs as well. We also have levies, the ones that we use to our street lights as well. It's all forms of our tariffs. But let's look at the reasons why ECG wants this increment. So ECG is saying that they have a lot of debtors. Actually, if you read the 84-page document, it's saying they are making a case that the customers are owing them, the government itself is owing them, so they are in debt, and they need money to run the company. So they will need some assistance from the regulator, from us, the consumers, to pay this service charge so that they can be viable as a company. They're also looking at high costs. They are saying that for fuel, cables, and meters, they're actually looking at procuring around 3 million meters between a span of 2025 to 2029. So they are saying that they will need this money in order to make the company viable and run as a profit-making company. But Martin, if you look at the proposals that has been submitted over the years. The last time I did the research, the last time I saw a major proposal of this nature was in September of 2022. And ECG actually asked for 148% increment in the DSC1, which is the service charge they are currently asking. But the PURC approved 27.15%. So if you do the math, you realize that they approved about close to 20% of what they actually asked for. So this is not something we should panic about. The PURC, as a regulator, also do their internal analysis. I've realized that a lot of analysts are saying that the 224% is too much, but it's not binding on PURC to accept all this 224%. So they can reduce it, they can maintain it, or they can even reject it at all. So you remember that just this year, electricity has been increased twice. Our electricity tariffs have been increased twice. In the second quarter, May, it was increased by 14.75%. And in the third quarter, that's the July one, it was increased by 2.45%. So this comes like a 4-year band, which will be like 225% as they are asking for. So if you go to the Ghana Water Company, for them, they are asking for 280% increment across board. So if you look at the residential customers, the non-residential customers, the commercial, industrial, public institutions, and public standpipes as well, they are asking for 280% increment across board. And take note, the PRC is not bound by these proposals. So look at the justifications by the Ghana Water Company as well. They are saying that the current tariffs do not cover their operating costs, and also they are looking at the exchange rate dynamics as well. So in a nutshell, these are the proposals that have been submitted by the Ghana Water Company and the Electricity Company of Ghana.
All right. Thank you very much for that particular update. Wisdom Safo is with our research there. So clearly, it's not everybody that is excited, but as we speak, it is just a proposal that has been put forward by ECG. And like we indicated, the proposal is to the regulator. The regulator would consider a number of factors before agreeing or revising, and the revision could even be upward or downward, or probably stay within the remit of how much ECG is asking for. Let's go to the phone lines now and speak to the Executive Director in charge of mediation and arbitration at the Consumer Protection Agency, Nana Prempeh. Nana, good evening and thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
Again, 224% increase proposal is actually just a proposal, but still on the high. And I'm not sure that the PURC would definitely go ahead and slap that on the end consumer. And again, consumers must understand, or our listeners should understand, that this is actually a spread between 2025 and 2030, the 5-year period spread. But as someone who pays particular attention or interest in consumer protection, what do you make of this proposal by the ECG?
Okay, let me say a special good evening to you and to your listeners. I was at the stakeholders consultation meeting yesterday when we asked all the service providers to make their proposal as we do in every year. We know we have the minor tariff adjustments and then the major tariff adjustment. The major tariff adjustment is always done in the third quarter of the year, where they all bring their proposals, long-term investment, short-term, and then how we can reach an equilibrium, especially in terms of tariff adjustment. ECG made their proposal based on what Gridco also made. The Gridco made about 56 to 57%. And if you calculate that, that means when they are selling power to ECG, including their overheads, and before it gets to the final consumer, they will attract some of these charges, and then that will bring their adjustment in the first quarter of next year by 28 or 30%. So the 225%, as you said, is not specifically for one quarter, but spread in about 4 or 5 years. But what we normally do is that when they bring these proposals, for the Consumer Protection Agency, we have a technical team that we send all these proposals to them. Some of them are former ECG officials, big men. Some of them are engineers. So they also come to the table and give us the picture. When they give us the picture, we also submit our proposal to PRC. It's just like all other stakeholders. The AGI were there, ASEP were there, ISEP were there. All of them will also bring their proposals. We send it back to PRC, and then we sit down and we come to equilibrium. So the 225% is not what is going to be approved by PRC. I can assure you that.
And let's look at it, or flip the coin and look at the concerns also raised by ECG. We all need them to survive, so at least we can enjoy the services they provide for us. And over the years, they've asked every amount they've asked. The PURC beats it down, sometimes to the very low level where ECG comes out to say that the amounts of monies or the tariffs they receive is too small to help them stay afloat. How can we actually help ECG survive?
But before we can help ECG to survive, they also have to help us. Yesterday at the consultation meeting, I asked ECG after their presentation that if you want the consumer to understand your dealings, let us know the truth about your state of affairs. We asked them how much does the public institutions, such as the Ministry of Finance, such as the Ministry of Education, how much do they owe you? Because according to what we have, they owe you 5 billion cedis. That 5 billion cedis can go a lot to do a lot of things for ECG. Apart from that, also let's know how much you owe Gridco. When we are able to know all these things, and when we are able to know your stress level, then the consumer can also come to come and support you. But you don't always push all your problems to the consumer at the end of the day, because the consumers that are always being taxed are the residential and the commercial users. How about the public institutions that are also not paying? So if you want us to help you, you also have to tell us. Also, have to tell us what we have to do for it to tell you to help you.
It has always been a chicken and egg situation, hasn't it? Do we say they should improve their services, then we pay, or we pay them to improve the service? Where do you stand on this debate?
No, but if you don't take money from consumers for you to improve your services, you are provide the service. I don't think MTN will come and tell its customers that is going to increase their subscriptions, or is going to increase their data so that they can use the money to improve upon the status of the company. No, what you do is that you have to go for your loans, come and better your services, and the consumer will give you a better credit for it. But you can tell me that because I want to do an expansion of 100 million in the next 4 years, I'm going to increase my tariff so that I can get that money from consumers. Mind you, most consumers even give you money before they take the service, because those who are on prepaid, they pay before they even get the service to use. You understand what I mean? So at the end of the day, it is you who have to do your services well, and then you get the best from the consumer. I don't think that if UCG is doing the right thing, especially in terms when it comes in terms of collection of its revenue, we will be in the situation where we are at the moment.
Well, we'll see how the coming days unfold before our eyes. Nana Prempeh, thank you for making time to speak to us.
You're welcome.
He is the Executive Director in charge of mediation and arbitration, the Consumer Protection Agency. Nana Prempeh there. This is still 3FM 92.7. We are live around the world on 3news.com. We are streaming on Facebook and on YouTube. Just look for 3FM 927 and you can be part of the national conversation. On to some other stories now, and we are turning our attention to education.
More than 20 teachers and invigilators have been found culpable by the Ghana Education Service to be involved in examination malpractices in the ongoing WACSI exams. The Ghana Education Service says these culprits, after investigations by the end of September 30, could face possible dismissal. Public Relations Officer of GS, Daniel Afenyi, spoke exclusively with our affairs correspondent, Daniel Poku, in Accra.
And for now, what you could change is your gender, the biodata, so your gender, your date of birth, your name, the biodata. But when it comes to the schools and then the programs, you are not able to change, because if we give the room, the choices were made before the BEC.
Sure.
And the decisions that went into the choices that they made, after the results have been released, the decisions have now changed. So if you open up, then we are going to open up a whole new system for the over 600,000 students to change almost everything. So what we do is that if we open it up like that for the entire 600,000, then you may have a whole disrupted system, because we have a period within which the school placement should also come out. For now, the date is 17th. Yeah. So we have just about 2 weeks to have the placement out. And so the students are not changing their schools at this point. They are not also changing their programs at this point. They are only to confirm if the schools you selected back in J3 are the same schools that our system has captured. If there are changes, you see genuine changes, you are asked to bring the form that you filled back in school. For us to confirm that, yes, there are changes, you will bring us the form, and then we compare what you filled. And
apologies for the wrong inset there, but we're staying on issues of education because the NAT officials have also been speaking on this issue about examination malpractice and how we can stem this tide.
We have to nurture them. We have to train them. And so every decision we are taking now in terms of making sure supervisors and vigilators who facilitate these malpractices are kicked out of the system is in the interest of the students. We don't want them to meet such compromised people. We don't want to meet people who are ready to shelve their integrity for temporary pleasure that they get and all that. So yes, we have the students at heart. We will do everything to protect them. We will do everything to make sure we train them in the best possible way.
You're still watching, I beg your pardon, listening to 3FM 92.7. Let's go to the phone lines now and engage Peter Pateante, Dr. Peter Pateante, who is the Executive Director of IFEST. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure that the issue of exam malpractice clearly cuts across who is involved and how we can ensure that it does not affect the future of the quality of our examination results. But how did this year's, results and the fact that the Ghana Education Service and WAEC, for that matter, have started taking steps to stem it? How does this come to you?
Thank you very much, and good evening to your listeners. I think it's a step in the right direction. I think the advocacy that we've been doing, ensuring that certain acts by various agents are brought to book, is yielding the needed results.
We know that a number of these schools where the malpractice have been found, this is not the first time that they have actually reported the fact that either a teacher in the school or some external official brought to the school is perpetrating this. What advice would you give, especially to school owners or the specific institutions where these exams are written? Is there a way they can also help the national authorities in dealing with this canker?
Yeah, if they are not complicit, then the first call depends on them. Because at the end of the day, it's your school that is being used, the name of your school that is being used to undertake all these illegalities and malpractices. So you should be the first point of call when you observe or when you see all these things. I think that aside the fact that these students, these teachers or GES employees are being held accountable, I think we can take a step further and deal with school owners too, who are complicit in this direction. And in doing that, we might have to bring in NASIA, the school inspectorate body, to also let out some punishment to these people, to these schools, through their managers or proprietors.
We are grateful for your time this evening, Dr. Peter Pateante, who is the Executive Director for the Institute of Education Studies, IFEST, helping us, with suggestions on how we can fight the concerns of examination malpractice in our second cycle institutions. You're still listening to 3FM 92.7. Let's go on to some other stories now.
The Ghana's Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, has shut down 149 institutions running open distance learning across the country. According to GTEC, the institutions are running these courses without authorization and without accreditation. Director General of GTEC, Professor Abdullahi Ahmed Jinapos, said the commission said he had to flag the centers because they are unfit for purpose. He made the comment at a 2-day capacity building workshop on Ghana Open and Distance Learning ODL policy implementation strategies for stakeholders in Accra.
Therefore, it's not merely an alternative mode of education, but a central pillar for broadening access, promoting equity, and driving innovation in tertiary education. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me state that Ghana has been working very hard to encourage and promote access to tertiary educational delivery in this country. But unfortunately, distance education seems to be replaced with distancing education. Distancing education manifesting in institutions moving across this country to replicate what is happening in traditional classrooms cannot be deemed as distance education. In fact, as we speak, the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission has flagged some 149 distance learning centers that we think are not fit for purpose. These centers are found in second cycle institutions that are overstretched as a result of the double track. We have centers as being organized in churches, public services, public works departments, PWD, electricity companies. In fact, we cannot allow this to happen. As a commission, we've issued a moratorium to all these institutions to teach out students in these centers and to seek accreditation for facilities that are fit for purpose. Today, we are launching this particular policy involving quality assurance officers. What we've realized as a commission is that quality assurance in most of these institutions become overly transactional.
You just heard the Director General of GTEC, Professor Abdullahi Ahmed Jinapor. Meanwhile, Commonwealth Consultant for the Open Distance Learning Policy, Professor Oludemiro Jegede, said Ghana must come to a negotiated agreement as to what open distance learning is and direct its implementation.
However, we must begin the beginning from the beginning. And that's why we think it's better for us not only to listen to aspects of the policy that has been, but we should actually come to a concerted, a negotiated agreement as to what distance learning means. What does distance learning mean? If I ask everybody, we have more than 40 different answers. But we want to have a single negotiated understanding of what distance learning means, as well as what open learning means. There's a difference between distance learning and open learning. And in my lecture today, I'm going to give you the differences, and you'll see, although there are subtle differences, but you see what that means. So we need to know that. We need to understand that. And this is capacity building. That is, if you must go out to, let me put it bracket, evangelize, you too must be converted. So if we have to go out talking about open and distance learning anyway, we must have the idea. We must know what we're talking about. We must be confident. And that's why I'm glad that you've included many of your colleagues here, because they will be the ones. You will now be, hopefully, the trainers. I haven't gotten it from here. You'll be the one to be telling others what it means. Open and distance learning is not second rate at all. In fact, research has shown several years ago, as far back as 1977, that open and distance learning is on the same footing as face-to-face. In fact, now almost better.
That was Commonwealth Consultant for the Open Distance Learning Policy, Professor Oludemiro Jegede. It's still Hot Edition. We'll be back with all the latest in sports and business. Bismarck Awusa is standing by. Stay with us.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Coming up tonight, Ghana Gold Board announces commencing domestic gold refining from October 2025 as it exports 66.7 tons of gold worth $6.3 billion in 8 months. I am Bismarck Awusa. This story and others lined up for you. Please stay. Thanks for your company. Now to the details. Ghana Gold Board has announced it will begin refining gold locally before export starting next month. The move, the organization says, is aimed at ensuring the country derives maximum value from its mineral resources. Speaking at the 2025 Mining and Minerals Convention, Chief Executive Sammy Gyamfi said the initiative will be carried out in partnership with the Bank of Ghana.
Ghana continues to export dory, that is raw gold, instead of bullion. The Ghana Gold Board, which I lead, is determined to change this narrative as a matter of urgency. As part of the research agenda of President Mahama, the Gold Board, in conjunction with the Bank of Ghana, is partnering local refineries such as the Gold Coast Refinery to begin the local refining of gold purchased and exported by the Gold Board. And this will begin next month, October 2025. Let me at this stage commend the Chamber of Mines for expressing their willingness to work with us to ensure the local refining of gold produced by large-scale mining firms in the country. The Gold Board will continue to drive innovation. And in this regard, ladies and gentlemen, we have secured a parcel of land at the cargo village at the Kotoka International Airport to build a...
Meanwhile, the Gold Board CEO, Sammy Gyamfi, revealed that gold exports from the small-scale mining sector have reached 66.7 tons, valued at $6.3 billion. According to him, the figure has already surpassed Ghana's total gold production for 2024.
From January to August 2025 alone, have exceeded the total small-scale gold export output for the whole of the year 2024. That is from January to December, which stood at 63 tons with a value of about $4.6 billion United States dollars. It is also instructive to note that the small-scale gold exports continue to surpass those from the large-scale mining sector, which stood at 65.1 tons with an estimated value of approximately $5.6 billion United States dollars for the period between January and August 2025. In line with our objectives of supporting gold reserve accumulation by the Bank of Ghana, the Gold Board has initiated the local purchase of 20% of the gold output of 7 large-scale mining companies in the country. So far, we have locally purchased and supplied to the Bank of Ghana nearly 100 kilograms of large-scale gold to augment the gold reserves of the country. Foreign exchange accumulation from gold exports this year, particularly from ASM sector, have been unprecedented. These much-needed foreign inflows have significantly strengthened Ghana's reserves, improved our balance of payments, and provided critical support for the Ghana cedi. These early successes underline the strategic role of the Ghana Gold Board to Ghana's long-term development and prosperity.
And that was Chief Executive of the Ghana Gold Board, Sammy Gyamfi. And that brings us to the end of the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. For more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com. Real Kwampofu is here for sports. Please stay.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on Hot Edition on TFM 92.7 with me, Oreku Ampofo. Ghana ended the September international break with a laboured 1-0 victory over Mali to boost their chances of qualifying for the 2026 World Cup, with the Black Stars firmly on top of Group I ahead of the final round of matches. My colleague Mutala Yakubu recounts the key moments from the Accra Sports Stadium on Monday.
A huge cheer erupted at the Accra Sports Stadium after the final whistle. It felt like more than a win for Ghana. It was one step closer to the 2026 World Cup qualification thanks to Alexander Jiku, who headed in a corner from captain Jordan Ayew. It was not smooth sailing though, as the Black Stars defended with their lives. Coach Otto Addo, a man under pressure from Ghanaians after the shocking draw against Chad, breathed a sigh of relief.
Young squads and players who haven't been playing often for the national team so far, and we were a little bit nervous here and there. But after 50 minutes, I think we got good into the game. The game was even, but with a little bit of upper chances for us. Yeah, at the end it stayed really hot till the last minute, and I think we really fought well, especially and big thanks to the defense.
His opposite number, Tom Sefie, now has a bigger mountain to climb. With first place off the table, he will be hoping to guide his side to one of the 4 best second place finishes.
First of all, I have to say congratulations to all the people in Ghana with the victory. It was a fantastic atmosphere in the stadium. Ghana didn't play with 11, but they played with 12 or 13, and that helps the team. I think first off, our goal was clear. We wanted to maintain a 0-0 because we knew if we'd score early, Ghana could bounce easy back.
With Ghana firmly at the top of Group I with 19 points, fans are already setting their sights on USA.
Oh, I feel good. Like, this is my first time watching something like this, so I feel good.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And do you feel like the Black Stars can qualify for the World?
Yes.
Which player impressed you on the pitch the most?
Kudus. Yeah.
Did you enjoy the game?
Yeah, I did.
You did?
It was very nice.
Which footballer impressed you today?
Kudus.
Why him?
Oh, he did really well. Yeah.
Okay. And do you think Ghana will qualify to the World Cup?
Just like we have already done, like we are done. We are just done with them.
So you should book your tickets.
Like just today, I'll do my today.
That is all that Ghana won. We wanted to win at all costs because before the game, we were all 16. Ghana and Madagascar were all 16. So we needed this 3 points badly to ensure that our qualification to Canada, US, or the 2026 World Cup is secure.
Impressive performance. Sherman, what's your name? Everyone's plug. You can see everyone's plug. How did you feel about this game?
This match was very nice. It was a very, it was a destiny-changing moment. We were looking forward to winning this match, and then it happened.
And do you think the Black Stars will qualify to the World Cup?
Oh, yeah, eventually we'll qualify. Cool chopper will qualify.
Hey, cool chopper for the Black Stars.
Cool chopper.
Are you booking your tickets?
Oh, yeah, I'm booking my tickets. Team USA, we are all here. Come. Team USA.
Ghana technically needs 4 points from their remaining 2 matches to qualify for their 5th World Cup. With a positive end to the September window, there will be optimism that the players will finish their job in October against Central African Republic and Comoros.
Now, before we go, let's just bring you up to date with some results around the continent for the World Cup qualifiers, and a really huge result for South Africa, who held off some pressure from Nigeria to play out a 1-1 draw, which still keeps South Africa in firm advantage in Group C. They sit on 17 points as Nigeria climbed to second on 11 points, the same number of points as Benin and Rwanda. Remember that the second best placed teams would also make it to the playoff as well. And then there's the other games also being played today, which saw Senegal come from 2 goals down to win by 3 goals to 2 and move from second to first in Group B, and are now 2 points ahead of their opponents that they met today, DR